Arambe, Timo Veda, Karema Garada, Ove, Arambe.
Time comes in different shapes, different sizes, fills differing wants and needs, all ticking with one consistent chorus. Give me more time. Time to spend with the family. Time to be creative. Time to work and time to relax. I guess the question then is this: what is time worth? And how do you want to invest it? You know, not so long ago, and not so very far away from your neighborhood, there lived two lifelong friends, Joe Larson and Bert Adams, neighbors who carpool to and from the office every day. Joe and Bert went to the same college, got jobs working for the same company, bought the same style home in the same neighborhood. They even wear the same style clothes. And every day when they return home, they're met by their ever-faithful families. And every Sunday morning, rain or shine, Bert and Joe would meet religiously at 9:30 sharp to observe that most hallowed of sacred shared events: golf.
You bring your money?
Funny, man.
Hey,
But unlike the endless stream of previous outings, this morning was a little different.
Bert,
I've been thinking.
we're golfing. Why are you thinking?
Seriously, I've been thinking. I really need to make some extra money. I've been thinking about getting a part-time job.
You keep putting like that, you'll have to sell your house. $2.
Don't you ever think about making extra money?
Not as long as I've got you as a golfing partner. Yeah, I do. In fact, every time Holly and I balance the checkbook.
I don't know about you, but I really have to do something.
Yeah, by the time we get home from work, have dinner, play with the kids, stuff like that. What have we got? 10 extra hours tops.
Not much time, is it?
Nope. So, got any great ideas?
I wish.
So what do you do when your savings account's at an all-time low or non-existent? Carpeting and drapes that are threadbare, the refrigerators banging and clanging, credit card balances that are reaching the level of the national debt ceiling, not to mention college tuition just around the corner. Well, how do you balance your time? Time that's needed to earn that extra money. Time to spend with your family. What are your options? Oh, by the way, you may have been wondering how our dynamic duo could afford to play golf every Sunday with things being so dreary. Well, Bert's uncle, Uncle Harold, he runs the place. Well, the stage was set. Events that would affect both families for months, even years to come, would be decided tonight. On the way home, Bert and Joe each committed to invest an extra 10 hours a week. Not much time, but both agreed it needed to be invested wisely. Well, after a lengthy discussion, Joe decided
I could always get a part-time job at Old Man Truman's appliance store. I worked there as a teenager. He makes me an offer every time I come in to buy a part to fix the washer or dryer.
And which is becoming more and more frequent.
True. You know, I bet I could get him to give me $8 an hour. If I work 10 hours a week, that's $80. It's $350 a month.
And I could start a daycare center. That way I'd be home with Jennifer.
Yeah. How many kids do you think you could handle?
Maybe 5? Use a glass.
Sorry.
What is this? A guy thing? 4.
How much for each kid?
well, the decision had been made, and it seemed like a good one. But no matter how many times Joe played the idea out in his mind, no matter how hard he tried, there just wasn't much to get excited about. Exhausted, Joe finally surrendered to the idea. I mean, after all, if they kept this up until they reached age 60, there might be just a little light at the end of this long, dark tunnel. Well, things were very different at the Adams house. Bert's Aunt Betsy, Harold's wife, Golf course Harold favorite? Uncle Harold. Anyway, Harold's wife, Aunt Betsy, had called earlier in the day while the boys were playing golf and asked Holly to join her for lunch. And now there was Holly sharing with Bert the information Aunt Betsy had so carefully and patiently shared during the luncheon.
So what do you think?
Interesting.
I get you some juice?
Sure. Now let me see if I get this. We work consistent, steady, invest 10 hours a week, just like Joe and I talked about. Our goal is to find just 2 people who can benefit from these products, excited as we are, who are also willing to invest 10 hours a week doing the same thing.
Yeah, and based on our goal, 3 months to accomplish our task.
3 months. That's around 130 hours.
130 hours.
That's realistic.
Yeah,
We can do this.
and we get to do it together.
You are a genius.
Needless to say, Bert and Holly had no trouble getting a great night's sleep. Their problem had a solution, and the solution made sense. For Bert, the next morning couldn't come soon enough. He was up at 5 a.m., did his morning exercises, and ate a healthy breakfast. He hadn't felt this alive in years. He couldn't wait to tell Joe that he'd found the answer to their problem. He had committed to invest 10 hours a week, consistent and steady, just like he and Joe had agreed. Flexible hours, great products, solid company, and do it with Holly. It was everything Joe and he were looking for. Well, needless to say, Bert was loaded for bear. As he waited for Joe, he rehearsed over and over how he would explain to his best friend his newfound discovery.
Sorry I'm late. I couldn't get to sleep last night.
Were you going to sleep better tonight? Because you don't have to sell toasters at Truman's.
Well, I can think of a better way to start the conversation, but the words had already popped out of Bert's mouth, so it seemed like it was now or never. Now you've got to picture this. You've got Bert and Joe, pens in one hand, papers in the other hand. They're drawing diagrams and hanging onto the steering wheel. Wow.
Joe, can't you see? Here, write this down. We'll each be investing 10 hours in our new business, just like we agreed.
Okay.
And as soon as each of us finds 2 new people who are as excited as we are, they'll be investing 10 hours a week too. Now, how many hours is that?
That's 30 hours.
Right, 30 hours of work done every week, and we only have to do
10.
10 of it. Now, let's be realistic. Let's give ourselves, say, 3 months to do this. That's reasonable, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, how many hours is that?
That's 130 hours.
130 hours to find 2 really good people.
No, I'd rather work for $8 an hour selling refrigerators and know that the money's gonna going to be there when the week is
You're just
over.
not seeing this. All right, take the next 3 months. Let's say during the next 3 months, we help our 2 new people find 2 people each.
Okay.
Now, add this up. Our 10 hours, plus 10 hours each for our 2 new people, plus an additional 10 hours each for each of their 2 new people. What's that?
That's 70 hours.
Right, are you seeing this? That's 70 hours of work done in a week, and we only have to do 10 of it.
On the backs of innocent people.
No! Our 2 new people are getting 30 hours worth of work done every week, and in the next 3 months, we'll help their new people do the same thing. Everybody wins. And on top of all that, we get to spend our extra 10 hours a week looking for solid folks like us, instead of working in some hole in the wall.
Truman's a decent fellow.
I'm sure he is, but he pays you a wage.
Yeah.
And who gets all the profits on his sales?
He does.
And how does he get people to come to his store?
He advertises.
And he sits on the school board. He's a deacon in his church. He joined the Rotary. And what does he say every time you run into him? He lifts the collar on your shirt and says,
Looks like you need a new washing machine.
Exactly.
He sells good stuff.
And so will we.
But there is a huge difference. Here, take a look at this. A manufacturer makes a washing machine. Now he sells it at a profit to a wholesaler. The wholesaler sells it at a profit to Truman. Now Truman's going to sell it to a customer, and again, he's going to sell it at a profit. Now, out of this profit, he pays what? His rent, heating, electricity, advertising, a store manager, and Joe. Now, with all these middlemen, it's no wonder he can only afford to pay Joe $8 an hour.
Joe, in our new business, the company manufactures the products, makes a reasonable profit. But from there on, all the profit goes to guys like you and me who are out there doing all the work. We are the middlemen, the owners, the salespeople. We get the profit.
How does Holly feel about it?
Joe, it was her idea.
Sally'd never do it.
Bert had just learned his first lesson. There is a place and time for everything. Obviously, this was neither. But Joe was his friend, and no matter what, a friend he will stay. Now, what Bert didn't know was this. Joe went home and shared the information with Sally, just like Bert had explained to him. Bert invests 10 hours a week, for example, over a 3-month period. And during that time, his goal is to find 2 quality people. The result, Bert invests 10 hours, plus his 2 new people invest 10 hours a week, totaling 30 hours a week. Now, for the next 3 months, Bert's goal is to help his people find 2 quality people each, or 4 additional people. The result, Bert invests 10 hours, plus his 2 people invest 10 hours each, plus their new people invest 10 hours each a week, totaling 70 hours a week. Now that's leveraging the investment of your time. It didn't take long for Sally to see why Bert was so excited about the potential. But Joe had always prided himself on being practical, realistic, having that good old-fashioned work ethic. You know, you work 10 hours, you get paid for 10 hours. After all, it was the honorable thing to do. And he held on that excuse for an entire year.
Okay, I know, you're dying to tell me, so go ahead. Spit it out.
Spit what up?
Every day you pick me up. You won't tell me how much money you're making. Nothing. But Sally, she's watching. And every night when I get home, I hear all about it. The Adams had 2 families over for barbecue tonight. The Adams went to this play and that play. The Adams got a brand new car. Bert's the new coach of Little League. How do you have time to do that? And now, to top it all off, she tells me the Adams are planning a trip to Hawaii.
Next summer.
Yeah, well, I thought the plan was we were both going to work 10 extra hours a week.
I do.
Well, then how come this is the first time in 6 months we've gone golfing?
You're always working on Sunday mornings.
Well, you're supposed to be working too.
Joe, I am. It's just that I get to spend my 10 hours at the golf course if I want. And while I'm playing, we get an extra 210 hours of work done somewhere else.
Nice shot.
Thanks.
So, it's really working?
You know that trip I took to California last May?
Yeah?
I met this really sharp guy. Shared the business with him.
Uh-huh.
He couldn't believe it. You think I'm crazy? He does it full time. Left his job.
You're kidding.
No. And when Holly went with her sister last July to Washington, D.C., met this old grandma, real sweetheart. Retired, owns the motel she lives in, loves the products, sells them to everybody she meets. We've got people working for us before we get up in the morning and after we go to bed at night. And when we go on vacation, our business keeps on going.
Well, so how much are you making?
Did we just see a light turn on, or was that my imagination? You know, I think that 10 hours of work for 10 hours of pay idea just lost some of its luster. And you know, Joe's not alone. In a recent national survey, it was determined that 63% of the population is not satisfied with their jobs. 64% are thinking about quitting and looking for something else. Where are you? Are you happy with your current job? Is it meaningful, fulfilling, both emotionally and financially? Do you look forward to the alarm going off in the morning and, just like 75 million other folks, racing off to work? Or is it time to consider a better way to invest your time.
That is good. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it all started early this morning when Joe and I were talking. We were going over our budget, as usual, and the topic came up of where we would go for summer vacation. And he didn't think he could get enough time off. And then we couldn't go very far because the car was about to die any minute. Same old story. Then I said to him, the Adams are going to Hawaii on their vacation. You should have seen his face. It was the final straw. He called Truman at home, wakes him up, says he won't be in today. He calls Bert, insists they play golf. Heaven only knows what is going on right this minute. He knows he could never have this if he works 10 hours a week for Truman. How do you feel? Oh, I just love having 6 extra screaming little children tearing up my house every day. And I love Joe selling appliances every spare minute, especially when Jimmy has a basketball game or when I want to go to a movie. And, you know, I love my old car. I don't want to go to Hawaii.
Oh, you know, this business isn't for everyone.
Yeah, right. Let's just say that Joe agrees to this. How do you know who'd be interested and who wouldn't?
You don't always know. We've got some people who lost a job from a company they'd had for years. Well, before that happened, you know, they may not have had any motivation. Probably felt pretty secure. Well, other people, they try the products and they find themselves recommending it anyway. So why not sell the products and make a little profit? Oh, and I have to tell you about my hairdresser. 29 years old, 2 darling little girls, divorced, living in this really scary apartment, totally strapped.
Oh, poor thing.
Oh, I know. Well, when I first told her about the business, you know, all she wanted for her little girls was piano lessons, dance lessons, you know, maybe a little set aside for college. But you should see her now. She just bought the cutest little house over in Cloverdale.
That is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Well, every situation is different, except this. Everyone wanted more time. Time to spend with their families. Time to relax for a moment or two without having to worry about their income coming to a screeching halt. More time to make a little more money. And everyone needed a solution that wasn't going to cost an arm and a leg like a hamburger franchise.
Good comment, Holly. And you know it's true. Few of us have the enormous resources required to buy and start up a franchise. And even if we did, which franchise would we bet our money on? And at what location? But we all have this, a little time, our most precious asset. And with the low cost of getting into this business, your real investment is your time. There's over 55,000 people a week in the U.S. and over 125,000 people a week worldwide getting in to this over $66 billion a year business. Quality people. And like the New York Times says, many are well-educated people, white-collar workers, trading in their briefcases and looking for a better way to invest their time. And if you'll invest your time, steadily, consistently, you can build a solid, exciting, and profitable business.
So why aren't we doing this?
Oh, I don't know. Why don't you?
Hi, ladies.
Hi. Right on time.
Anything we can do to help?
I want to know first who won.
I think I'll go wash up.
I'm sorry we're late. We were talking about the business.
It's about time.
It is about time. How much time you have and how much that time is worth. The past is officially over. This is a new moment, and the decision is yours. Do you just turn it over and keep doing what you've always done? Or is it time to do something different? If it's time for something different, there isn't anything that's more exciting than investing that time in this business. It's your decision, and it's about time.
Arambe, Timo Veda. another round.